Snowy Days Productions presents Project Tape Recorder. Here is a simple overview. I have two particular model tape recorders, the Sony TC205. One was in better shape than the other. I put the better parts together to have one in the best condition of all those parts. The other one that had some parts that weren't in as good shape, such as the cassette door where the spring-loaded part broke, and where the one of the little reel things wasn't going quite right, was for parts. Not only that, but little clips that were to hold the case together had also broken off. So this one I'm using for parts. Enter the Sony TC62. The TC62 was found not in the best shape at an estate sale. On the cassette door, the metal part, shiny metal part, had come off and was gone, not to be found. But not only that, but the battery cover was also missing off the TC62. What a sad thing. I also went in to do some work to try to get it to work, and the motor has a squealing problem even after putting lubrication. That's where parts can come in. I think that this motor is fine, and since both these machines use identical mechanical sections, they should be interchangeable with no problems. Plus, I had already put a good belt in this one. This one I had to put a rubber band in because I ran out of belts that were the right size. So, I'll be able to put this one's belt in this one. Plus, the battery cover from the TC205 fits the TC52 quite nicely, as can be seen. Plus, the cassette door on both machines are almost identical except for their different color. But it seems that the part inside is identical. And if it is, I may be able to swap this cassette door, which the spring part that was messed up was not door related but case related. The plastic part that mounted in the case broke off. But if the door from this one is the exact same size, dimensions as the door to this one, then I'll be able to swap doors and have a nice looking door. So I can have a good battery cover, a good motor, and a good door, and a good belt, and get this fine AC bias quality tape recorder into full working and cosmetic condition. And I've moved some things out of the way. Now I can take this belt out of this the Sony TC205. There we go. There's our belt. Now we can work on getting the motor out. It doesn't have any squeaking problems. I hope it doesn't have squeaking problems. We've got the motor right here. It does the DNM-1100A. I have to unsolder it. Let me go get my soldering iron. I let my friend borrow my soldering iron and stand, so what I've got right now is this stub tip iron. This is my other iron here, and no stand, so I'm going to be very careful about here. I still have my desoldering iron though. But of course I'll return it at some point. But until then, I use this iron and move the to-be restored tape recorder away. But another unfortunate part was the part that goes down to hold the screw right there has broken off. So it's probably not held together the best. Or maybe it is actually still held together well. It feels like it is actually. It must have a clip or another screw. But here's the part that broke off when I had it apart before. It was right there in the hole, and the screw went down in there, held it in to the other side. Here's my makeshift soldering stand. I'm using my unplugged desoldering iron to support the plugged-in soldering iron. How about that? I'll also have other good parts out of this machine. When I completely part it out, I'll also have a good AC bias recording and playing back tape recorder circuit. The only thing is when you record, you're going to have to hold that switch like that. And I'll also have a good play record head, and it's got a nice condenser microphone, high quality condenser microphone right there. Or if I wanted to try to fix the machine later, then I could leave the parts together. But I got another TC205 in better shape, so that's probably not really that necessary. Could use a great tape recorder circuit. AC bias. As you can see, there's the bias oscillator coil right there, and it's a transistor right there that it uses to oscillate with the coil high frequency bias. I know the condenser microphone on the TC205 is super high quality because the recordings it makes are so crisp and clear. You know, some condenser microphones sound better than others. Some sound really good on the treble. Some sound not very good on the treble. But this is a very high quality condenser mic, so that's good too. It's got the power transformer and everything with it as well. So I've got some good parts inside this thing. Just to remind us, if it's the same on the other circuit board, blue wire is on the right side, red wire is on the left side when the circuit board is in this position with the jack on the bottom. The circuit board's a little bit smaller, I think, in the TC62, but it might have the same motor connections. I'll check. You'll see. Here's the door from the TC205. You just push down these little clips and it will come right out. Let's thank the man who had the idea of having interchangeable parts, because it looks like these two drawers are compatible with replacing on each other. As you can see, the same kind of layout, the way they're both connected. And also the tape recorder without a door has a pretty cool look. Look at that without the door. It looks pretty cool that way. And here we go. The Sony TC205's cassette door fits perfectly onto the TC62's body. Ejects beautifully. Tape goes in. Oh yes, I'm so happy. Okay, here's the inside of the TC62. You can see it is one heck of a dusty tape recorder. I mean, look at the dust in that thing. I'm out of compressed air, so I've got to blow with my mouth. Be nice if I had a compressor. Oh man. Check the condition of the head. Seems slightly worn, but not too bad. But if it needs a new head, I've got one in the TC205. Does use a different circuit. The other one had a chip that used a dipped style of packaging and had a heat sink sticking out the front that went down to the circuit board. This one is the type that's made to mount onto a separate metal heat sink which stands up. Doesn't have a heat sink, so I guess it doesn't get way too hot. But this one uses a different amplifier chip for the amp. Perhaps, and hopefully stronger, I don't know. Speaker is rated at 3.2 ohms and 0.8 watts, so pretty low wattage. That thing broke off too. I may have to just remove it altogether. Chances are this thing's been dropped before, because the whole deal's with the broken pieces of plastic. Luckily though, these parts here are not broken. These little holes that these little tabs stick into, because if those are broken, that whole front part there is going to be loose, and that's not good. As you can see, the circuit board on this machine is smaller than the TC205's. So let's work on getting it off. It doesn't have any screws on this one, I don't think. It just uses these weird metal things that you twist. The other one had metal things that you twist as well, but it also had one screw to reinforce it. You just loosen these things here and you can release the circuit board from the metal chassis. Do that. There we go. And then you can just comes right off. There's the AC bias coil right in there, in the same place as the transistors on the other side, right there. And then there's the amplifier chip. It's a Toshiba TA7207P amplifier chip. Same jacks. I'm going to spray those jacks with the WD-40 real quick, just to make sure they get good contact. Just about ran out of WD-40. I think my friend Jorge must have been using this stuff a whole lot, because when it was sitting here just before it was full, I don't know what the heck went on. Maybe he just used it like a madman, but I'm out of WD-40. I may have another can somewhere. I think there's another can somewhere. But anyway, now we can address the belt situation. Before the belt situation, we're going to take the old motor out, of course. It was a Sony D-02 1G2, which is the one that has squealing issues. Hear that squeal when I turn it? Even put oil in it and it did not fix that at all. Hoping I got the polarity right. I was assuming the plus would be positive, and the red would be positive and the blue would be negative, because this other motor uses a different kind of a cable. I don't know where. There it is. Uses this kind of shielded cable right here. Now I've got the new motor mounted into the chassis, and now just to get the good belt in there. Okay, now I got the good belt installed into the recorder. Maybe a little too thin, so the belt speed might not be up to quite as fast as it should be, but it should be pretty close, hopefully. It's better than nothing. I don't have all the belts in the world. Most of my belts come out of other machines, so yeah. Now I can put the circuit board on, which is full of electrolytics, but I think they're still good. The amplifier did work on this machine. It did record and it did play back, although I wasn't able to do much of the recording because, of course, the speed was slowed down by the squealing of the motor. But I could hear that the recording came out very crisp and clear, thanks to the quality they put into these machines. Here we go again. Got the circuit board held in place by those things. I hope it got the polarity right on there. That won't be hard to swap if I need to. Let's fit the chassis back into its case. Line the jacks, go down in there. And, of course, I'm trying to do this with one hand while I'm filming. Not really that necessary to film this. I'm going to stop. With the aid of both hands, I quickly, and in no time, got the transport back into the case. There's the speaker, and before we put it all back together, we're just going to make sure I put the motor on the right way. So I need to find the power cord for this recorder. Okay, luckily the polarity was right, and this tape was recorded at half speed on a different machine. Moron's PMD220 to be exact. So it's going to sound fast, but I just want you to watch the dust on the speaker as it dances to the fast playing music.